Well, it's not the best of times in Plateau State, where at least 23 Fulani travelers have been killed by suspected Irigwe locals at Rukuba Road on Saturday. On Sunday, a student of the University of Jos was also killed by suspected hoodlums in what has led the school to suspend its examinations. There's currently a dusk to dawn curfew in 2 local governments in the state, namely Jos South and Bassa local government areas, and a 24-hour curfew in Jos North local government, which has been the sites of terror in the past few days. Welcome to VSA as we discuss these killings and how it can be stopped, plus a journey into a fantastic moment for those in Zambia. I'm Sulaiman. Welcome. Well, suspected Irigwe militia unleashed mayhem on Fulani travelers on Saturday, killing at least 23 in a news that has called for deep concerns. Now, the travelers were coming from Zikri prayers in Bauchi State and were headed to Ikare, Ondo State, when some locals who were on their way to bury about 40 corpses in Miango and Irigwe community descended on them and killed them on Rukuba Road. Many were also injured in the attack, while others were rescued by the military, and 20 suspects in connection to the attack have been arrested. Now, the attack is believed to be a retaliation for the killings and arson committed on Irigwe communities between the July 31st and August 5. Now, suspected Fulani militia had killed 50 Irigwe locals, destroyed over 1,000 hectares of farmland, and displaced at least 25,000 people from their homes. The attack on the Fulani travelers has been condemned by the Nigerian government, as a curfew has been placed on 3 local government areas of Plateau State. Analysts say that such retaliatory attacks are offshoots of poor leadership and the absence of dialogue with hurt people. Now, some others say it's a failure of governance and one which threatens the unity of the state. Joining me now to look at this is Muhammad Nuru Abdullah. He's the chairman of Mieti Allah Cattle Breeders Association of Nigeria, Plateau State chapter, and Davidson Malison, National Publicity Secretary, Irigwe Development Association. Gentlemen, good to have both of you join me on the program. Quickly here, what's your reaction to the attack on Fulani travelers by suspected Irigwe militia? Now, starting with you, Davidson.
Good evening once again. It's my pleasure to be in your studio once again. Can you hear me?
Go ahead, Madison.
Yeah, I want to start by correcting the caption you actually captured in your station, attributing the killings that occur on Saturday, 14 August, along Rukuba Road, axis of Jos to Irigwe. I want to say this statement you captured, you are following the statement that was released by the Plateau State Police Public Relations Officer on the said day. I want to say the statement it on has been refuted by the Commissioner of Police yesterday after a security meeting with the Plateau State Governor. The Commissioner of Police said there is no identity attached to the people who actually perpetrated that act, and used the words, the act was carried out by hoodlums and miscreants. He further said there were people who only attempted to use the opportunity to loot around the aforesaid locality. However, I think that is just the summary of what actually happened. But on Saturday, August 14, 2021. You recall that I was in your studio and I mentioned that Irigwe Nation has been under attacks for many weeks. and so quite a number of people have been killed. Over 70 people have been killed. Irigwe people have been killed. We decided to keep 6 dead bodies in Plateau State Specialist Hospital. And on that Saturday, we were very busy at the Plateau State Specialist Hospital mortuary, trying to see the possibility of how we are going to convey the 6 dead bodies for mass burial in our village. And so after we took the corpse from the mortuary, we had alerted the security outfits and outlets here in Plateau State of our plans, because we say we are going to have a procession from the Plateau State Specialist Hospital to around.
Let me apologies. Let me butt in here quickly here, Marlison, because my question was your reaction to the attack on the Fulani travelers by suspected Irigwe militia, and you started off by saying that you were going to make a correction to that report by also telling the world that the police has refuted or recanted on its earlier statement. Now, yes, following the police report and your community's findings, how have you been able to, place a finger on those who carried out this attack?
I will not particularly deviate from the words of Commissioner of Police, who said the attack was carried out by hoodlums and miscreants.
Is it safe to say you for the very first time you're on the side of the police, because this looks like some kind of good news for your people, absolving them of any blame?
I didn't actually get your question.
You have always, said that the police is inefficient in handling this matter, and as well as the military. For the first time, you seem to be comfortable with what the police is saying about this attack on some Fulanese. And I'm asking, is it because it's sort of, place your community and your youth in a, on the good side, absolving them of any blame in this particular gruesome killings?
No, that's not the point, Suleiman. That's not the point. I am only trying to, clarify some issues here. You recall that even the statement that was issued by the PPRO, I wrote a counter statement refuting that allegation. So we've never been on the same page. I am telling you that the Commissioner of Police refuted or released a counter statement contrary to what his PPRO had earlier said. And that's why I said that particular attack cannot be attributed to a particular ethnic group or certain people with identity.
Did you believe the statement from the Commissioner of Police?
It's not a matter of whether I believe his statement or not. This is a matter of unidentified people. You get the point. Unidentified people. Who
so is it also safe? Is it also safe to say some of those people who have carried out attacks on Irigwe communities are also unidentified?
It's quite a different case here. Let me say, I think I said this in your studio. In the case where you have evidence, that is where you can actually prove your case. I said it here that there have been situations where we have submitted names of suspects to the police of those who had perpetrated some of these acts in Irigwe land, because prior to such attacks, some of their boys used to come and graze in some of the affected or attacked communities, and they issue out threats, and lo and behold, the next thing is an attack. So we have been taking records. And then secondly, some of these places they used to come and graze. They used to come and graze. We know some of them. So when they come and graze, even when the police are called to come and see them grazing or mowing down our farmlands, no arrests are made. So at that point, should we say they are unknown? This is someone who is destroying your farm. This is someone who is destroying your crops. And then you call the security agents, they saw him. How is that?
Well, I'll come back to you, because now we're talking about two different issues here now, those who destroy farmlands and those who maim and kill. Let me quickly bring in Mohammed Nuru Abdullah here. Mohammed Nuru Abdullah, good to have you join us. You are the chairman of Mieti Allah Cattle Breeders Association in Plateau State. Going by this development from, you've heard what Malison has reminded the world. The Commissioner of Police has come to say these people who carried out the attacks, on the Fulani travelers are not Irigwe youth, but unidentified people.
First of all, let me very quickly use this medium and condemn what we describe as outright violation of and abuse of human rights through discrimination, dehumanization, genocidal, ethnic cleansing, and brutality by Irigwe warlords under the instruction of their great warriors and leaders. The Mayango Children's Genocide and Annihilation Massacre Crusade is one too many. Hereby observe and condemn the incessant attacks and killings of indigenous Fulani and fires in our ancestral home by the Irigwe bandits. Secondly, I want to attribute to what he was saying, dancing here and there, left, right, and center, and alleging that the killers are not Irigwe people. We are no more suspecting any other person but Irigwe people. We are sure of them. Some of our people that are indigenous and are using the same road by that time, which they are not able to identify them as Fulani, are able to see everybody that was there. And we know some of them by their names and their villages. And we mention them before the security agencies for their arrest, prosecution, and possibly conviction. So we know them, they are Irigwe people, not any other tribe that is involved in this.
Nuru Abdullah, Nuru Abdullah, let me come in here quickly. Again, apologies. Just give me a moment here. Let me come in here. Apologies again. Just the same way I asked Malison to clarify. Do you have your facts? Do you have evidence contrary to what the police is saying to show that these attacks were carried out by Irigwe community, or rather youth of Irigwe community?
Of course, yes, it's true. Number one, some of our commuters using the same road that the Irigwe are not able to identify them as Fulani because they are coming from a different direction. And secondly, they are indigenous to and they know everybody in the area. They told us that they know these people and they go and tell the security, mention names, and then for prosecution and arrest. Secondly, the Rukubaro general area is dominated by Irigwe people. Number three, these Irigwe people have picked some 3 corpses from Plateau Hospital that they trek from Plateau Hospital to Mayango, where they go and bury these people. That crowd was the crowd that attacked these gentlemen, passerbyers, innocent passerbyers, and they were killed by this mob. So there are 100%, we have our facts and reasons that 100% those who kill our people are Irigwe people.
Let me bring in Malison here. Malison, you've heard Mohammed Nuru Abdullah, and one of the key, I think he used a specific word. He said to a large extent, he's talking about some Fulanis who are also a part of the ancestry of the Irigwe community. He's saying that these people also claim ownership to the Irigwe community. So what's the reaction of the Irigwe people to this attack if now you say you are on the side of the police saying that this wasn't from your people, but listen to Mohammed, he has names, they have witnesses, and they say they have going to have this conversation with the police?
I wanted to say maybe you should ask him the definition of ancestral land. I think if he's able to put down that definition, probably it will make the viewers or the listeners to be able to know what it means for someone to use the word and lands.
So what do you understand? What do you understand by that word or by that use of language from Nuru Abdullah?
He made use of it, so he should be able to know what it means.
Because I do the asking here, and by you saying that you would have loved me to ask him that question, and now that I'm asking you, then you should also be able to tell me what you think that means.
Like I said, I was going to ask you to ask him. I was going to tell you to ask him what it means for someone to say they lost their people in their ancestral land.
So that we don't lose more time here now. Very quickly here, I've asked your reaction of the Irigwe people to these attacks, these killings of these unarmed Fulani travelers.
Yeah, I was trying to say before you breached in. On that same day, we were actually conveying our corpses, the corpses of the people they killed in our place, in some of our places. And then we reached Satellite Market along this Rukuba Road axis that we are talking about. And we were told that there was a breach of security. And so the road is not safe for us to fly through our community. And we were asked to use the alternative route. We never argued. We had to succumb to the security intelligence report on ground that the road was not safe. And so we used the alternative road. But having said that, I want to pen down something very important for people to know. The Rukuba Road, he said, is dominated by our people. Rukuba Road is a cosmopolitan area that is made up of almost all the ethnic nationalities on the plateau, including even non-indigenous. There are Igbo people, Tiv, Yoruba, Idoma. You can mention them in this Rukuba Road that we're talking about. And so one will wonder why somebody will particularly fingered out a particular tribe and attribute the attacks to be them. I really do not see sense in it. A community that is made up of different tribes, you're fingering one tribe, even without any form of investigation, interrogation, even without a court of competent jurisdiction proving
it looks sometimes when we speak to journalists, we should also keep in mind that we keep records of what has been happening, and the records here has always shown that what you are alleging now is the same thing that the Fulanese are also alleging. So it's not as if people are getting to hear anything differently. You have always accused the Fulanese. Now the Fulanese are also accusing your people. But we're here for one thing, to see how we can forge ahead and have an amicable, resolution to some of these things, to bring about the peace that has always been there. Let me quickly bring in Nuru Abdullah again. I'll come back to you quickly here because we're talking about the ancestral lands and, affiliation to that part of the country. You hold key roles, Nuru Abdullah, you hold key roles amongst the Irigwe people. Perhaps those watching now, if you can tell us what your associations are doing to get to the root of the matter.
Now, before I go there, I want to attribute some little issues pending what he has been saying. Number one, he has indicted himself and the Irigwe people. We are now confidently and strongly know that yes, it is Irigwe people who attacked and kill our people, because he testified that their mob, their people were on the same road and they reached around the Satellite Market, and that is where they attacked our people and killed our people. So that one is a confessional statement. Number two, I want to also use this medium and draw attentions of everybody to the furious impetus and vehement activities of the Irigwe hoodlums. We are bringing move notice that we are stressed and stretched beyond elasticity by the oppressive condition of our people, entrapped and lured in Meango chiefdom. Therefore, we seek urgent intervention of both government, security agencies, and other stakeholders in the state. Number 3, what you are requesting from me, what my association will do to foster peace and unity in the state. We have set an example. Today, Dong village of Just North is very quiet. There we are some noise around Dong of killing and counter-killings, attacks, and so on and so forth. But when we put it together, we understand ourselves with the Afizere community, especially under the leadership of their paramount leader, the Agomizere of Just North. We sit down and discuss issues and provide solutions, and we are implementing the solutions ourselves by ourselves. Now, Dong is very quiet. Equally, in Just East, something happened where they attacked and killed 2 of our people, put them beyond recognition, which bring out tension. But we understand ourselves with their leaders, their traditional leaders, more especially the Agomizere of Just East, the district heads, and then their religion leaders, other stakeholders, and the Fulanis. We discuss the issues and provide solutions. Thirdly, what will bring peace and stability in these areas is justice. Justice must be done. Today that we are crying, we have killed our people. People, we know them, they killed. We identify them, and they will be picked for questioning, and justice should be done. Those who operated Hyannis Act must be dealt with according to the law of the land.
Let me comment here, Nuru Abdullah, before I go to Malison. And I'm happy that now we're talking about resolution as we wind down quickly here. These attacks, you agree, Nuru Abdullah, have only escalated the situation. Has there been, any recent conversation between your group, the Irigwe community or the Irigwe youth, and the Plateau State government? Well, Nur Abdullah, that question is for you, if you're still there. Quickly, I'm asking if you've had any kind of meetings with the Plateau State government and the Irigwe community.
Even on that very Saturday, I was in a meeting organized by the Peace Building Agency to serve peace and unity, strategize on how to resolve the problem. So we have been meeting the Operation Safe Haven. We have been meeting with the Commissioner and his men, and so things are ongoing. What I am saying is, in essence, let's collaborate more and more, and discuss the issues, especially government, security agencies, we community leaders, religion leaders, traditional leaders, and other opinion leaders should come together on a round table, discuss out the issues.
Let me close on this with you, Nuru Abdullah. Quickly, let me close on this with you. When you attend such meetings, what's the vibe you get? Is there a sense, of resolution, of peace coming when such meetings are held?
Yes, we dwell mostly on solutions to the problems. We identify the issues and then provide solutions to the issues, and deliberate enough on how to implement the resolutions. So in this line, it is being okay, and we are recording results.
Let me bring in Davidson here quickly. Davidson, you've heard Nuru Abdullah, and he's also been able to give some, series of moves that he thinks that the government and the people can look into and bring about the much needed peace. He's also said, well, he sees peace in the horizon following such meetings. So I'm sure have you ever been a part of such, sit down with the government and the Fulanis in your community?
Yeah, I think before I answer your question, let me correct one wrong assertion made by the chairman, Magban. He said I made a confessional statement that we fly through the road. I don't know how he understands issues. Maybe he has problem with understanding. But what I said is we were flying the road and we were stopped even before reaching where that particular incident happened. When you're following through an axis and you were stopped that the road is not good and at a distance you were asked to go back. I don't know how does that. I don't know how that really, tally to be a confessional statement. But anyways, that is his misunderstanding. Having said that, in terms of engagements, we have had.
But Davidson, you would. Were you on the way towards that point before you were stopped?
Yeah, we were on. Let me tell you. The statement as issued by PPRO was that particular incident happened 9:28 a.m. And at that 9:28 a.m., we were still in the mortuary. I was there. We were still in the mortuary trying to convert those corpses. I don't know where he's getting his facts. Maybe he should go and recheck. Did you get that point?
Then go ahead then.
So when we're talking about engagement with Fulani people, I think we have had quite a number of engagements with these people. But like he said, we have had dialogues, we have had meetings, stakeholders, state government, traditional rulers, religious leaders, in order to fine-tune ways of ending disputes of killings all over. But it seems like these people are not ready for peace at all. Like I stated in your studio last time I appeared, I said in one of the meetings that we held, after the meeting that was organized by Plateau State Peace Building Agency in our local government secretariat, immediately after that meeting, our traditional ruler, Miango district head, alongside one traditional title holder and his scribe, 3 of them were ambushed by the same people we had finished meetings with. That to tell you that they are not ready for peace. And again, there was
we don't have the time again. We're rounding off. Are you ready for peace, the Irigwe people?
Yeah, that was where I was landing to.
No, we have to quickly. We have to be. We have to say that quickly.
There was a time the state government set a committee for reconciliation between the people of Irigwe and Fulani. We presented the 2 separate committees. They were asked to go and bring their own points that we see to the reconciliation. We were also asked, we presented 17 points conditions for them if they will want to come back to our community. These are the resolutions, these are the 17 points. They turned it down and they said they are not going to abide by it.
Davidson, let's close on this. Are you ready for peace? Because before today, we've always had this conversation on this program. There was a time you said, you used the word our brothers, that they are brothers. But now you have started using words like these people. So is it safe to say you're not ready for this journey to a peaceful resolution? So because I like that you're smiling now, because it's what everyone wants. We want to see you smiling. We want to see the Mieti Allah and the Fulani people smiling as well, honestly. So are you ready for peace?
Yeah.
I think
Mother Teresa once said peace begins with a smile. That's why I smile.
It's a fine place for us to leave it. I'm happy and I'm excited. Davidson Malison has said his people, as well as himself, they're also ready for peace. And good thing that Mohammed Nur Abdullah has also said the same thing. We're hoping that these killings by Nigerians will stop in Plateau State. And of course, News Central Television will stay on this. We'll give the people the voices. We'll get to hear them speak more and tell us more on how it is going to bring in about peace in that region. Still to come, we'll go to Zambia, where Hakainde Hichilema has defeated President Edgar Lungu to win the presidential election on his 6th attempt. Stay with us. Well, it's a new dawn in Zambia as a 6th-time presidential candidate Hakainde Hichilema of the United Party for National Development has defeated incumbent Edgar Lungu by a landslide. Hichilema, a graduate of economics and business tycoon, defeated Lungu by almost 1 million votes, scoring 2,810,757 votes against Patriotic Front Lungu's 1,814,201 in results from 155 of Zambia's 156 constituencies. Against the expectations of many Zambians, Lungu has conceded defeat and congratulated the president-elect in a nationwide address. Zambians have been in a jubilant mood since the announcement of the results, and there were instant impressions on the nation's Eurobond, which improved, guess what, by 8.3%. The country's local currency, kwacha, also jumped up by 7.7% following the announcement of the results. Hichilema has promised to improve investors' confidence, and he faces a daunting challenge to put Zambia back on the path of greatness after the nation was dipped in increasing youth unemployment, rising cost of living, high inflation, and a very unstable economy under Lungu. $12 billion owed in external debts, $5 billion owed domestically, and a GDP to debt ratio of 120%. Hichilema has his hands full as he finally achieves his aim after 15 years, and Zambians will demand an instant turnaround. Joining me now to look at this, Partner Siabutuba, Executive Director, Youth Development Organization Zambia, and of course, O'Brien Kaba, Lecturer, School of Law, University of Zambia. Gentlemen, good to see you both on this program. It's an exciting day. Is it safe for me to say congratulations, partner? Zambian youth came out en masse, even in a pandemic, to vote. What's the mood in the country at the moment?
Thank you so much, and good evening. So it's a pleasure to be hosted on your important program. Yes, I think it is in order for us to be congratulated. We are so proud that the young people turned out in big numbers to vote for the president of their choice. It is safe. I think the only thing you see on the street, just jubilation and excitement, expression of joy and hope, you know, that the young people will get what they voted for, you know, for Mr. Hakainde Hichilema's government that they just yesterday voted for.
Well, I think it's an exciting moment because for a long time, a lot of people, the entire world was looking to Zambia, saying what truly can change. And as I said, people were not deterred even by COVID. Tell us, you know, leading up to this election, if you ever saw this coming, did it come to you as a surprise, talking about the victory of Hichilema?
No, because in the first place, you saw the determination of the young voters at the point of voter registration. And this time it was not, it was before, you know, the outbreak of COVID. So you saw a long queues, you know, of young people, first-time voters, old women alike. And then you at that point, you are able to confirm and conclude that youths were determined to take part in the 2021, you know, presidential and general election. So we are not surprised in the levels of you know, turn up by the youths in this year's election. However, I think that the outcome of the election and the level of youth, you know, participating to cast their vote did not surprise us. And we also knew that the young people were going to be the game changer on who was going to win this year's election. So they were looking for a message of hope, a message of economic emancipation, given the fact that the levels of unemployment for the youths is extremely high. And so they were looking for this message, and it looks like Mr. Hakainde Hichilema's message resonated very well with the expectation of the youths. And so we are not surprised that he was able to capitalize on the youth vote. And I think this is what exactly, you know, made him emerge victorious. It's the youth vote.
You know, that's something that people perhaps let's look at his doggedness. You know, for the last 15 years, he's been trying to come as president of Zambia. What are those lessons for the young Zambian watching the president-elect who gave it his, you know, his all for the 6th time before clinching this big win from almost the entire Zambians?
Great. I think that Mr. Hakainde Hichilema becomes a model, you know, leader for the young people. He started off his first attempt to stand as president when he was really very youthful. You know, this is basically about 15 years ago. And so you can imagine at what age he was. So he was really, really young. And he was accused by senior politicians then that called him a calculator boy because he was so technical, and they told him he needed to wait and grow up a bit, get more experience. So this experience thing is what I think one of the elements that, you know, delayed this man becoming president. But now finally, you know, after having tried, you know, 5 times, in the 6th attempt, he makes it. So the lesson that young people, you know, get from Mr. Hichilema Hakaine's persistence is that once you set your goal, you, regardless of the challenges and difficulties that you encounter, you know, in your way, you are still able to stand against those challenges and still be able to get, you know, your goal. And so young people from here should understand that determination, goal setting, and also trying to overcome the challenges that would potentially undermine your ambition, then you'll be able to get there. But so Mr. Hichilema comes out of this not only as a president, but I think he comes out as a model leader that young people should be able to look up to in terms of having to be determined and, you know, exercise resilience to be able to get what you want in life. So this is very, very important, you know, for the youth to be able to learn on how they can also be persistent. And we are hoping that a lot of lessons there can be picked by a lot of young people that also aspire to be politicians. They aspire to be businessmen and women. They aspire for different ambition. Persistent resilience is the only way.
Well, partner, another important aspect here has to do with the tally, the vote tally. I mean, let's look at it, almost 1 million. Does this suggest how tired Zambians have grown of the Lungu's government?
I think you can clearly see the difference in the vote. I think that this was a protest vote against the ruling party, against President Edgar Lungu. For a very long time now, the Patriotic Front has not had a deliberate program which was predictable and aimed at empowering young people. They attempted to run a youth empowerment program where colossal amounts of money were invested in, but to date, the Patriotic Front government is not able to demonstrate how many youth, for example, have been empowered. That money was meant, first of all, to lift the economic status of especially the majority young people in the rural areas that have less opportunities for employment, those who were semi-literate, if you like, but also allowing those that were kind of literate and were in the urban to try and allow them to exercise their skills in running individual businesses. In the absence of employment, business opportunities again were not there. So, but different calls by different stakeholders were made to the Patriotic Front, led by President Edgar Lungu, to come up with a program that would answer to the challenges that youths were facing. I think that they did a very bad job. So this election, young people looked up to try and punish, the Patriotic Front for not having listened. But I think what is very important also to notice in this election, you saw a partnership between women and youths. The number of women that turned out to vote is extremely huge. And women and youth have a tendency of setting a common agenda every time there's an election. Women understand that if their youths, their children are not employed and they're in their custody, the burden of having to look after a youth who is unemployed lies with the mother. So the women were also feeling this burden of keeping these youths that are not productive. So you saw a partnership between women and youth that turned out in big numbers to try and punish Patriot Front, if you like, and this is exactly what happened, and this can be seen in the tally, in the difference of the vote between HH and Edgar Lungu.
Yeah, quickly here, if we, on one hand, we're saying, well done, Hichilema, well done for what you've done, shouldn't we also be looking to President Lungu and saying thank you for being someone who is also magnanimous in his defeat? Keep in mind that, time was when African leaders don't, concede such defeat, but we've seen that President Lungu has addressed the nation. He said, well, yes, welcome Hichilema. That's another lesson.
I think it is important. First of all, we are very excited that President Edgar Lungu did not resist or resent exiting the office after the election. He basically conceded defeat. This has been a Zambian culture where the sitting president loses and they can peacefully hand over power. So since 1964, we have not had, since 1991, we have not had challenges of the sitting president handing over power to the winner. So President Lungu has just demonstrated and maintained the legacy of our culture in terms of power transitions. But I think a lesson we also get from there for the young people is that they should learn. The young people we have today, the youths we have today, are the next presidents. And then they will be able to learn how their forefathers would have conducted themselves when there was competition of leadership, and those that lost were able to voluntarily, leave power to those that were taking over from them. So I think that what President Lungu has done is very, very good, because in the first place, we were actually afraid that the man would resist, especially when you remember there was a letter that he wrote, I think 2 days into the election process, where he said he didn't think that the election was fair, and he described it as a nullity. So that was a very bad sign, and people started getting afraid that the president might simply refuse to give power on the basis that he said there was a lot of violence, and party agents for his party, Patriotic Front, were chased, if you like, beaten out of the polling stations. So Zambians again were on the lookout to see the next step that the president was going to take. But then it didn't come as a surprise though, but of course it was a matter of a wait and see situation to see whether he was simply going to concede defeat or he was going to resist a bit. So it came at the right time that we actually expected him to concede defeat. Well, the cause were from different stakeholders, including other opposition political parties, were very clear. They demanded that the sitting president concedes defeat and set the people's emotions allayed.
Well, partner, thank you. Quickly, let me go to O'Brien. I understand, we've been able to join O'Brien via phone. And again, just the same way I said it with partner, I think congratulations are in order. O'Brien, congratulations. And of course, we're looking at the future of Zambia with the coming of the president-elect. Now, let's talk about the man called Hichilema. He's seen as a smart economic brain. So what pressure does this tag place on his shoulders, especially considering where Zambia is standing at the moment?
Yeah, good evening, and thanks for having me. I didn't get the last part of the question.
We're talking about the attributes, the economic dexterity of Hichilema, and a lot of people have seen since told the world how great he is. And we're asking, being an economic brain, as some have called him, isn't that putting too much pressure on him as he takes the mantle of leadership of your great country?
Okay, thanks very much. So, the very nature of the election and considering the amount of support he got across the country puts enormous pressure on him. Partly also because of the feeling of the outgoing government. So, he has no choice. I think there'll be enormous pressure on him. But I think from his speech today, I think he has indicated that it will not be an overnight task. He has outlined a little bit in terms of how he would approach some of the issues. But to me, I think if he tries to be creative, a low-lying fruit he could call points on, like opening political space. I think we had a number of media organizations which were first. So those could be opened, and I understand one of them is already open on Prime TV. But then we would need, going forward, I think we would need more fundamental reforms in terms of governance and economy.
Quickly, O'Brien, as a law lecturer, let's talk about, the loss of, brains suffered by a country. Many Zambians, you would agree, have actually moved out of the country in search of greener pastures in the past years. Do you think the election of Hichilema will bring many people back home?
Thanks very much. In terms of laws and potential reform around that topic, I think the problems are not superficial, they run deep. There are some things which could be reformed overnight, like the law relating to public order regulation. So that looks pretty straightforward. But in my view, I think there are fundamental constitutional issues that need to be settled, and the Constitution itself informs subordinate laws. So if there's serious undertaking to reform fundamental constitutional issues, that could have a long-term bearing. But the advantage the new government has is that, as I understand, they have secured a two-thirds majority in Parliament. So from that perspective, they have a relatively easy job in Parliament. But on the flip side, if they decide to abuse their power, then the two-thirds majority they have acquired would be an enormous danger to society.
Let me bring in partner here and see if we all can actually close by talking about the kind of cabinet we expect Hichilema to put up. Partner, do you think the president-elect should work towards having a youth-dominated cabinet? We're trying to have a sense of the population of those that should make up the cabinet, knowing that Zambia really needs a big, wake-up, speaking about the economy.
Yeah, thank you so much again. I think that the president-elect, Hakainde Hichilema, has made it very clear that his government is going to be looking for specific competencies and skills for those that are going to work in his government. And so I'm sure he's saying so because he has set parameters for his performance, and he thinks that that is only where that he's also going to meet his objectives, to deliver on his promise. I think that you can't agree with him more than that, because today in Zambia, sometimes the kind of skills you see in the civil service, especially, some of the people that are employed there are employed on the basis of their political inclination. They may not necessarily have the skills required for the jobs that they are given, and this has rendered a lot of a number of public sector performing, below expectation or below par. So the expectation with Hakainde Hichilema is that he is going to basically be looking for those competencies and skills, skill set that he's going to use to be able to deliver on his programs. And so, yeah, we are foreseeing a situation where you have to meet the merit for you to be able to get, space in his team.
Now, quickly here, one last one here for you, partner. We're talking about, the debt profile of your country, also especially looking at the creditors, the Chinese. What do you expect the incoming president to be saying with the creditors and, especially looking at what the books are saying for the country?
Yeah, you also notice again that majority of the debt that we owe our external lenders is actually getting due, and we defaulted on one a few months ago. So the issue of the debt mountain we are sitting on is a big issue, and this has successfully undermined the development efforts of the Patriotic Front. And so if Mr. Hakainde Hichilema is going to make headways in turning around the economy, obviously, the big thing that he must be making an attempt to dealing with is the issue of debt. And so you can only imagine that he's expected to have huge and deeper and wider conversations with the lenders. I think the first attempt will be to try and restructure debt, but also request for an extension of period of repayment, so that he's going to free off a bit of resources from his national treasury to try and implement his programs. You will notice that as we are sitting today, we only have 10% of the national budget that is deployed into social sector, provision of public services, but also investing in our economy. About 50% of our national budget goes to pay public service emoluments, and the rest about...
I think I get a sense of what you're saying, partner, quickly here so that I can bring in O'Brien. O'Brien, let's close on this. Zambia has had stable government since switching to democracy under former President Kenneth Kaunda in 1991. Perhaps, what's the secret behind this?
Yeah, thanks very much. So, to me, I think this symbolizes the growth of democracy and the personification of people power. So this is an indication that if a government misbehaves, power ultimately lies in the hands of the people, and people could kick out the politicians, and this is what we have done. This also indicates that democracy is also African. I think there are a number of people who argue that democracy doesn't work in Africa. I think the fact that Zambia has been able to change government 3 times is indicative that democracy is here to stay. But also the high number of people who turned out at vote this election, which is in excess of 70%, I think is something which is far higher than what is happening in many Western countries. I think in some Western countries, the voter turnout hovers around 30-40%. So this is an indication that probably there's something also we can export to other countries. So this is a great achievement.
Well, I think Once again, apologies. It's a fine place for us to leave it. Congratulations to you both, and again to every Zambian. Zambians have voted, and they've chosen their leader, and now their leader must do what helps and chooses their progress and the progress of the country. Africa is excited to see peace, stability after a big election in Zambia. Many thanks for being such a nice company partner, Siabituba, and of course, O'Brien Kaba. I'll see you again tomorrow.